You know, there's a secret hidden deep inside your DNA. It's a memory of a whole different world, one that suggests we're not who we think we are. Today, we're going to follow the trail of a lost history. It's an incredible story that connects a frozen cave in Siberia, the red earth of our very own Australian outback, and, believe it or not, a huge secret buried under the ice at the very bottom of the world.
All right, so our story doesn't start in some big, dusty library. No, it starts right here in a damp, freezing cold cave up in the Altai Mountains of Siberia. And what did scientists find? This, a tiny, tiny piece of a finger bone. I mean, it looked like nothing, totally insignificant, but it was perfectly preserved by the cold, a kind of genetic time capsule. And what was locked inside? Well, it was about to turn everything we thought we knew about human history completely upside down. See, this discovery, it wasn't just about adding another name to our family tree. It literally kicked a door wide open to a past that mainstream science has had a really hard time explaining. In some cases, they've just flat out refused to even look at it. And it forced all of us to ask a pretty uncomfortable question.
So, from this one tiny bone, scientists figured out they were looking at a whole new branch of the human family. They weren't Neanderthals, nope. And they weren't us, Homo sapiens. They were something else, something totally different, a kind of ghost lineage from way, way back in our past. We call them the Denisovans. But look, this wasn't just another long-lost cousin who went extinct. The DNA from that little piece of bone tells an incredible story, a story of survival. And here's the absolute kicker. Their legacy isn't just locked away in some museum. Oh no, it is still alive and kicking, carried in the DNA of millions of us walking around today. Okay, but this is where the whole story just gets wild. Because where you find the most of this ancient DNA today, well, it creates a massive geographical puzzle that, frankly, science is still scratching its head over. So get this, the highest concentration of Denisovan DNA on the entire planet isn't anywhere near Siberia. It's found right here, in the indigenous peoples of Australia and Melanesia. Now think about that for a second. How on earth did a genetic signature from the icy mountains of Asia make this impossible journey across thousands of kilometers of deep, open ocean to end up here? The usual story, early humans on little rafts, it just doesn't add up, not even close. And we're not just talking about some random genetic quirk here. This DNA was practically a superpower. Think of it like an extreme survival kit, hardwired into their biology. It gave them the ability to handle insane cold and high altitudes where the air is thin. I mean, we're talking about an elite piece of biological engineering, a legacy of pure resilience that let our ancestors thrive in the absolute toughest places on Earth. And this is the point where the hard science starts to line up perfectly with ancient memory. We're talking about memories kept alive in the oral traditions of Australia's First Nations, and, get this, in these massive stone structures found on the complete other side of the planet. You see, for countless generations, Aboriginal stories have talked about giants. Giants who walked this land back when it was soft, literally shaping the rivers and mountains. Now, of course, mainstream academics usually just wave these away as myths. But, hang on a second. Think about this. Over in Siberia, not far from where they found that Denisovan bone, you find these enormous megalithic structures, built by, well, nobody knows who. So you have to ask, right? Could there be a connection? And we're not talking about small rocks. Some of these things in Siberia weigh up to 3,000 tons, and they're cut with a kind of precision that our own modern tech would have a hard time matching. So at that point, the question isn't about myths anymore, is it? It becomes an engineering problem. And the big question is, who on Earth could have built them? So if you've got these incredible structures over in Siberia, it just makes you wonder, what could be hidden right here, back home in Australia? I mean, we've got our own mysteries, don't we? These huge prohibited military zones, like Woomer, massive areas of land completely closed off to you and me, all under the banner of national security. It makes you ask, what is really out there that needs to be kept so secret? But maybe the master key to unlocking this whole puzzle isn't in the hot desert of the outback at all. It might be much, much further south, on a continent we just think of as a massive, empty, white desert. Okay, you have to picture this. There was a time
a kind of geological golden age when Australia and Antarctica weren't separate at all. They were one single, massive, lush continent. Before everything split apart, that place we now see as a frozen wasteland, well, it was our next-door neighbor, just a natural part of our own land. And it gets even weirder. There are these ancient maps. You've probably heard of the Piri Reis map. It was drawn way before anyone officially discovered Antarctica. And guess what it shows? It shows the continent without any ice. You can see rivers, mountains, the whole coastline. What does that suggest? It suggests that what we think of as the desolate edge of the world was once the buzzing, vibrant heart of an empire that got buried alive by the snow and ice. Fast forward to today. Our world is changing, and it's changing fast. That Antarctic ice is melting at a rate we've never seen before. And as it pulls back, our high-resolution satellites are starting to spot anomalies. Things that are so strange, they're literally keeping scientists up at night. What are they seeing? Well, they're seeing perfect geometric shapes, right angles, things buried under kilometers of solid ice that nature just doesn't make. So you see, this isn't just a story about the environment anymore. What we're really looking at is an archaeological countdown. Every single centimeter of ice that melts away is bringing us one step closer to uncovering a civilization that's been in a kind of cryogenic sleep. So let's put it all together. What does this all mean? You've got the DNA, you've got the ancient myths, you've got these impossible stone structures, and now you have the melting ice. All of these separate threads, they all seem to be pointing in one direction, towards a single, pretty mind-blowing truth about who we really are. Maybe we're not just the descendants of random survivors who scraped by through some brutal struggle. What if we're a species with a profound, a severe case of amnesia, wandering around on top of the ruins of a truly glorious heritage, a scientific and spiritual legacy that's just now starting to wake up?
You can almost feel it, can't you? This memory is in our very DNA. It's in those giant stones that time just couldn't grind down. And it's in the ice that's finally weeping and trying to tell us the truth. The answers we're looking for, the answers to our future, they're not just out there in the stars. They're right here, in the blood running through our veins and in the land right under our feet.
So maybe we're not the pinnacle of evolution after all. Maybe we're just the heirs. The kids who inherited a giant house, and we're just now trying to find the keys to a front door we forgot was even ours. And this awakening, it's happening right now, whether we're ready or not. So the only real question is, what are we gonna do when we finally get that door open?